For global development, Chinese companies in the naval industry invested $300 billion to undertake the project of the Canal of the Century. However, why it was blocked by the United States is a question to be explored. Today, let's analyze the Nicaragua Canal, a centennial project in the history of canals. As we enter the 21st century, commercial communication and transportation between countries have intensified. Compared to transportation by roads, railways, or air, the main advantage of maritime transport is its large volume and lower costs. According to relevant data, currently, 85 to 90% of the world's goods are transported by sea. The world's most famous canals, the Panama Canal and the Suez Canal, are maritime projects known to all. The Panama Canal, initiated by France and completed by the United States, connects the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, allowing ships to avoid circumnavigating the South American continent. The Suez Canal, jointly excavated by Britain and France, links the Mediterranean Sea to the Indian Ocean. However, due to the rapid increase in cargo volume, the waterways of these canals have become narrow, no longer meeting the needs of large or super-large cargo ships. Many of them are forced to take detours, increasing the transportation cycle. Thus, whether for the world in general or for Nicaragua, a larger canal is needed to meet the growing demand for maritime transportation. The Nicaragua Canal has been the subject of construction preparations for almost 200 years but has not yet been completed. This raises the question of the reason behind this. First, let's examine the situation in the country of Nicaragua. Located in the center of Central America, bordering the Caribbean Sea to the east and the Pacific Ocean to the west, Nicaragua is one of the poorest countries in the world. Its economy relies mainly on the traditional import and export of agricultural and livestock products to generate revenue. Its industrial level is quite lagging, and economic development is slow. While the Suez Canal generates nearly $4.8 billion in revenue for Egypt annually, representing over 2% of the country's annual GDP, the Panama Canal transformed Panama into one of the wealthiest countries in Central America in just 10 years. Therefore, Nicaragua also wants to take advantage of its privileged geographical location to dig a canal and improve the country's economic situation. It is estimated that, after the completion of the canal, it could generate an annual revenue of at least $5.5 billion and provide almost 200,000 jobs for the local population during construction. Even after the canal's opening, Nicaragua could become one of the most prosperous countries in Central America. Already in the 19th century, someone proposed the idea of building a canal in Nicaragua. The designers involved in the project at that time conducted relevant calculations. If it is to transport goods from New York to Japan, as large cargo ships cannot pass through the Panama Canal and the Suez Canal, the total length of the detour will exceed 24,000 kilometers, taking 36 days. However, if the Nicaragua Canal is opened, the route time can be reduced by 11 days, and the total distance can also be shortened by 17,000 kilometers. Therefore, in 1883, the construction of the Nicaragua Canal began. Initially, at that time, people were seeking gold, and large gold resources were discovered in California. It was necessary to open waterways to transport the gold. Thus, the United States and Nicaragua found common interests, and the first Nicaragua Canal was granted to the United States, with a formal cooperation agreement signed in 1884. However, after American personnel conducted surveys on site in Nicaragua, they abandoned the cooperation and chose to excavate the Panama Canal. Therefore, the excavation plan for the first Nicaragua Canal was suspended. Afterwards, many countries expressed interest in taking over the project, but none of them reached an agreement on excavation. Subsequently, Russia sent a letter of intent for the project. At that time, the two countries held a summit meeting and signed an agreement to jointly build the Nicaragua Canal. The estimated capital of the project at that time was $20 billion, and the construction period was expected to be 12 years. However, after Russia conducted explorations on site, it was found that the $20 billion funds were not sufficient. Additionally, construction was quite difficult and would not bring benefits. Therefore, Russia abandoned the plan. After that, several countries came to negotiate and wanted to take over the canal, but all of them withdrew in the end. So, is it really so difficult to excavate a canal in Nicaragua? Firstly, Nicaragua's geographical location is very special, with volcanoes and earthquakes occurring frequently. The United States gave up due to the hidden dangers of volcanoes in this area. In addition, Lake Nicaragua is crucial for the production and life of local residents, with irrigation and domestic water for locals coming from it. In this region of Nicaragua, local biological resources are also very rich, with some rare species found only here, and there are a large number of coral reefs in the Caribbean Sea connected to the canal. Furthermore, the Sea Anemone Marine Reserve here has also been included in the UNESCO World Heritage List. Finally, there is the issue of investment in the project. As a poor country, Nicaragua can hardly afford such a large investment, and the construction of the canal will also affect agricultural lands and residents along the route, requiring corresponding compensation. The problem also involves a large quantity, so under the circumstances of a challenging environment, rigorous geographical location, and significant investment, the Nicaragua Canal has become a project that no one dares to undertake. However, Nicaragua needed to build a canal for better development. In the end, Nicaragua found a Chinese infrastructure company and presented the project quotation. The HKND Group, owned by Chinese entrepreneur Wang Jing, established the Nicaraguan Grand Canal Development Company in Hong Kong to take on the construction of the canal and obtain the operating rights for 100 years. After the Chinese infrastructure companies successfully obtained the right to carry out the construction, a British media outlet claimed that the project would be one of the largest infrastructure projects in the world. Additionally, the project had an estimated completion date in 2020, but it has not been finished so far. Why? This is because, as preparations were made to start construction, China was hindered by various external forces. The United States believes that allowing Chinese private companies to build the Nicaragua Canal and obtain the operating rights for 100 years could pose a threat to U.S. interests in maritime transport. As mentioned earlier, the Panama Canal was excavated and built by the United States and also enjoys certain operating rights. The Nicaragua Canal and the Panama Canal under construction are similar, both located in Central America. If the Nicaragua Canal is completed, it will inevitably cause fierce competition, affecting the Panama Canal's monopoly position in maritime transport in Central America. Furthermore, influenced by public opinion, many environmentalists boycotted the project, staging protests in the local area. The project was suspended in 2018 due to the unstable political and economic situation in Nicaragua. However, with the resumption of diplomatic relations between China and Nicaragua, the normalization of diplomatic relations, and the continued deepening of economic ties, the project may return to the agenda. What is your opinion on this? Thank you for watching until here. If you have suggestions, leave them in the comments section. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel, it greatly helps us continue producing more videos. See you soon, goodbye.